Hello, everybody, and thank you for visiting with me for another episode of Your Happy Life Today show. When I want to talk about today, it's going to seem a little bit off topic, but bear with me. This will be great. You'll like this episode. What I want to talk about today are cats, and not just cats in general. Specifically, my cat. My cat's name is Cheeto, and I inherited this cat from my daughter who was living in a small place, and the cat, wasn't doing well there. So she brought the cat over here when it was probably, 6, 7 months old, I suspect, and gave me this nice little orange tabby. And there's a picture right behind me of the little orange tabby, Cheeto. And I had Cheeto here for a while, and one of the things I knew about cats is that, you know, pets in general, especially cats, live longer when they're indoors. And all the veterinarians always tell you that, try to make your cat an indoor cat, because they'll live longer, they won't get all these weird things and get cat fights and, heaven forbid, run over by cars or smacked by a truck or, eaten by a coyote or any number of things that happen to animals that are out there in the wild. So I had other cats before, and so I knew the little tricks you were supposed to use to try to keep that cat from wanting to get outside all the time. Squirt them with water. Have you ever tried that? You get the little water container, and every time they try to scratch or get outside, you squirt them with the water, and it's supposed to stop them from doing it. Well, Cheeto was a mess. He was just constantly meowing, half howling and meowing and prowling all over the place, and destroyed my furniture in like a week. In like a week, my pristine leather sofa and chairs were just trashed. It was horrible. I was just apoplectic over the whole thing. But I resolved to keep that cat indoors so that it would be healthy. I'm keeping that cat indoors because it'll be healthier if I keep it indoors, and that's just the thing to do with a cat. So I stubbornly stayed with it for, a month or two trying to keep that cat in. And I probably went through 100 gallons of water squirting it at the cat, never directly hitting it because I always thought that was a little cruel. And besides, I didn't want the cat to hate me. So, you know, finally, finally I gave up. And it was hard on my dog too because I had a little dog door that the dog would be able to go in and out that I had to lock up, and because I didn't want the cat going out the dog door too, right? So, everybody's suffering because of the cat. And the thing is, that cat really wanted to be outdoors. He wanted to be an outdoor cat. He was going to do everything he could in his power to be an outdoor cat. So I finally gave up, and I went, okay, well, I'll make Cheeto an outdoor cat, but I'm going to take a precaution. So I got one of these little electronic things that you put on their collar, and there's a little app, and you can follow them around. It's a tracking device, just sort of very similar to the little things that Apple has that you can, put in your backpack, whatever it is, to see where things are at. And this thing would operate in real time, and I could see where my cat was, and it would keep track of his little wanderings and where he's been going and all that stuff on the phone, and you could get a history of where he's at. And so I would look back on this thing because you know how cats are. They like to go out at nighttime because they're basically hunters, right? And so they're going out at night because they're going to hunt. So Cheeto would be out at night, and I would go back and I would see his wanderings and, checking it out on the map. And this cat was probably covering 10 miles a day of wandering, and he was wandering everywhere. I mean, this cat was everywhere. And so he was much happier. He was the nicest cat in the world once he started getting to go outside. Once he started to be able to get to his true nature and be an outdoor cat, he was the nicest cat in the world. Before, he would never come and sit in my lap. He hardly wanted to do anything except for me to feed him. And, but once he started going outside, he was a delightful cat. He's actually now, and has been since I started letting him go outside, the nicest cat I have ever owned in my entire life. But the story isn't just about letting the cat outside. the thing is, what happened when I let the cat outside? So here's the thing about Cheeto being let outside. One day, I'm walking down from my house and I'm going down to the mailbox, and Cheeto happened to be on the street. And he was wandering in that same general direction. It's one of those places where the mailbox are all in a central location. You don't get one in front of your house. You have to go get them. So I walked down to the end of the street to go pick up my mail. And as I'm walking down there, um, one of my neighbors says, "Oh, is Cheeto your cat?" And I say, "Yeah, Cheeto is my cat." And I'm thinking to myself, how does he know the name of my cat? And I realized, Cheeto's got it on his collar. But that must have meant that Cheeto somehow let somebody pick them up enough and pet them and see Cheeto's name on the collar. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Kids pick up cats. They like to do that kind of stuff. And so, I just kind of let that pass and went, oh, well, that's really interesting. And it turns out that I had put a tag on Cheeto's collar that said indoor cat, so that if Cheeto had ever gotten out when he was still an indoor cat, somebody would call me and I could come and get him. Well, I had forgotten that he had that little sticker on him that said indoor cat. And so lo and behold, after I had just shortly kind of let Cheeto out of the house, I started getting calls like every day. Once or twice a day, somebody would call me and say, "Oh, I have Cheeto here, and it says indoor cat, so I thought I would go ahead and call you." And I would say, "Well, thank you very much. I'll come and get him." I didn't have the heart to say, "Oh, just Cheeto's not really an indoor cat anymore. Just do whatever." But I wouldn't do that, and I would go over and I would get Cheeto, and people would tell me the little story of how Cheeto would wander in their house and then come and jump up on their couch or sit on their lap or whatever it is that Cheeto would do. And these calls were constant till finally I said, "Oh, I can't keep getting these calls all the time. It's misleading." So I finally took that little tag off and I put a regular tag on there for Cheeto with a phone number on it in case, he really did get lost and somebody was concerned. So to this day, Cheeto has been an outdoor cat for, over a year. And he likes to follow me when I take my dog for walks. He'll follow us. Cheeto likes to follow behind us and wander around and wherever it is that we're going, where I take my dog on a walk. And Cheeto will follow along. And invariably, every single day, there's a neighbor that says, "Oh, is Cheeto your cat?" Every single day. And they'll tell me the little story of how Cheeto comes up when they're sitting on their porch and will come, jump on their lap and stay there for a few minutes while they pet him, and then he'll jump down and go on his merry way again and wander off. And I started thinking to myself, there are more people that know Cheeto than know me. And I am not right here self-flagellating myself because I haven't gotten out to meet everybody in the world, because Cheeto goes everywhere. But everywhere Cheeto goes, people know Cheeto. And they like Cheeto. And they tell me the little stories about Cheeto and what Cheeto's been doing and how Cheeto has been bringing little bits of joy and happiness into people's lives for all these months. And the wonderful thing about this is that I've gotten an opportunity to talk to other people too, because Cheeto was the binding element that brought us to being able to say hello. And don't misunderstand me, because I do know the names of my neighbors, like my next door neighbor and my other neighbor, and we watch out after each other, and I know other people on my street as well. But Cheeto knows everybody, and everybody knows Cheeto. And I started thinking about that a little bit, and I thought, you see, Cheeto knew what Cheeto's purpose was. And when Cheeto was insisting on being outside, I think it's because Cheeto knew That is my purpose. My purpose is to be outside and to wander around and go greet and meet people. Cheeto knew that was Cheeto's purpose. Cheeto was spreading happiness and knew, I think, that he had to get out of the house to make his purpose felt. Now, so many of us, me included, sit around and say, I don't know what my purpose is. What's my big magical thing that I'm supposed to be doing with my life? And I have come to the conclusion that we don't have to have a big magical thing to have a purpose in our life. We are not all going to be billionaires. We're not all going to be the most famous mad scientist in the world. We're not all going to be the best baseball player and center fielder ever. We don't all have to have that kind of a purpose. Our purpose can be very simple, like Cheeto's. Cheeto's purpose was to go out and say hello to people and spend a couple seconds there spreading a little bit of joy around by wandering over, meowing a few times, and saying hello. And your purpose could be just as simple as that. I'm thinking that's my purpose as well. So say hello, to spread a little bit of joy, spread a little bit of happiness wherever we can do it. And that's a pretty darn good purpose. For those of you that, follow certain religious edicts, you may be Muslim, you may be Jewish, you may be Christian. Most of all of those religions focus on love and spreading that around. And that's a really darn good thing. So, my mission today, and maybe for other days as well, is to be like Cheeto. So, for all of you, those of you that this rings a little bell to, maybe that you can make that your mantra as well. Today, I'm going to be like Cheeto. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a blessed, happy day.